Wait for a couple people to get on here. The beginning of a Facebook Live is always so uncomfortable because you're talking to yourself. I will start once people hop on. I don't want to talk to myself. All right, we got one. Let's get a couple more and then we'll start. Ricky's here. How are you, Ricky? Okay, we've got 4. Let's start. How are you guys today? So, I know that people who follow this page started off following it purely for grief. And when I started it, it was my intense grief that I was talking about. As I wrote my books and I got into the coaching, I started talking about dating and self-esteem and all that type of stuff. And those of you that have been with me for a couple of years have kind of seen the evolution of who I am as a person and what I talk about, and now my work. With everything going on right now, you know, I look to people that I follow on social media, and I look to hear what they might have to say about what's going on in the world. And I watch their Facebook Lives for feedback or comfort or guidance. And I want to try to do that for some of you. And some of you may not care what I have to say, but there are some who do care. So I want to try to do that for you. So what's going to happen is I'm going to come on here between 2 to 5 times a week from now on, doing these Facebook Lives, even though they make me super nervous. And I'm going to talk kind of about what's happening in the world right now. It's not all going to be about the coronavirus. You know, I have a lot I want to say right now, and I could just hop on here and do like a 3-hour video right now, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep these videos to, you know, between 2 to 10 to 15 minutes. So sometimes I will be talking about the coronavirus. Sometimes I'll be talking about humanity. Sometimes I'll be talking about grief through all of this. Sometimes I might be talking about dating, like, oh my God, John, I just figured out I want to start dating again, and now this. But for right now, you know, at least in the next week or so, week or 10 days, when I come on here, I'm going to be talking about the things that I want to get off my chest about what is happening in the world right now. Some of it's going to be kind of like a grand view of what's happening, and sometimes I'm going to give you guys actual tips to help you get through this, or suggestions, or I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, so the network connection. Okay, hopefully I'm still on. Can you guys see me still? Somebody tell me you could see me before I start, because I lost the connection. I think you can. So I am going to start giving you guys tips, coaching tips, all that type of stuff to get through this. For right now, for today, I want to just start with some basic thoughts. I think that a vast majority of the people, and I'm not going to say all people because some people aren't good people, but a vast majority of us have kind of, you know, the global fear right now. We're fearful for our fellow humans. We're fearful for our neighbors. We're fearful for the globe. We don't know what's going to happen. And that's a very real thing. And I think a vast majority of us have that. And then we also have our own inner fear, right? Our own fear for our own life, what is going to happen to us. I have MS, so I'm worried about my immune system, right? I'm a coach and a speaker. I've had 6, speaking gigs canceled already. So yeah, I'm worried about things on a global scale, but I'm also worried about myself, and that's normal. There's 2 things I kind of want to talk about today. One is that it's okay to acknowledge your own pain, right? What I hear so often, and I've heard it at least a half a dozen times in the last week alone with my clients, is, I have this going on, or I'm scared of this, but that's not right because so many people have it worse. We can acknowledge our own pain. We can acknowledge our own fear. We can acknowledge our own situation, which may not be ideal right now. We can do that and still understand that other people have it bad too, or that someone may have it worse. You can do both things. You don't have to minimize your pain to say, but they may have it a little more difficult, or to be grateful. So let me give you a really basic example here. let's say you're out and about and you're doing something and you break your hand. You break one hand, okay? And then you go home to call your best friend. And you're gonna tell your friend you broke your hand and it was the worst day ever. And your friend answers the phone and they're like, "You're not gonna believe it." You're like, "What?" They're like, "I broke both my hands today." It sucks that you broke your hand. And it sucks that your best friend broke both of her hands. That doesn't mean you're not in pain. That doesn't mean you're not hurting. That doesn't mean it doesn't suck if you can't go to work for 2 weeks because of your hand. You can acknowledge your own pain and then be grateful that A, you didn't get hurt worse, and B, look at your friend and say they have it worse. Okay? So we can acknowledge our own pain and validate our own pain and our own fear while looking at the rest of the world and validating and acknowledging theirs as well. They're making fun of my blue shirt, but I don't have a hoodie on. I do have my hat on though. Here's something else I want to talk about today. As I said, everyone has kind of a global fear and then their own fear. Some people might be really tired of me talking about this on this page because they want to come to this page for grief. It's still going to remain a grief page. But I'm not going to stop talking about this. And the reason I'm not going to stop talking about this, other than the fact that it's a global pandemic right now, is because I truly believe that this is when our character shows. As individuals, this is when our character shows. As a nation, this is when our character shows. Okay? As a world, this is when our character shows. What are you doing to help out? Are you contacting friends? Are you texting people that you know may not have anybody? What are you doing for yourself every day to help you get through this? And then what are you doing for your fellow human every day to help you get through this? Right now is a character test. And I'm waking up every day asking myself, what kind of person do I want to be? And if you follow this page for 4 years now, or if you've known me in my personal life for longer than that, you probably have seen my own evolution. Through everything I have been through, I am the best version of myself right now than I have ever been. Still flawed, 100%, but I'm the best version of myself right now than I have ever been. And just in the last week alone, with all of this going on, I continue to become a better version of myself. I'm becoming more caring. I'm becoming more considerate. I'm looking at my fellow humans with more understanding and more compassion. I'm looking at this horrible thing that we're all going through, and I'm trying to do what I eventually did with my wife's death, which is find a better version of me. To not live in fear or in hatred or in disgust or, to beat people over the head for a roll of toilet paper, but to extend a hand. Although not literally, because we're not supposed to touch people. Don't touch people. So what you're going to see out of this page is kind of what you always see in terms of posts about grief and my coaching and dating and all that stuff. But you're also going to see me trying to help you guys through this right now. And I have a list of 15 things I already want to talk about. I wanted to keep this one short, so I'm going to wrap it up here in a second. I might see if there's any questions or anything. But, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to give you guys tips and thoughts and suggestions and homework assignments for those that want to do some actual work here to help themselves through it. Okay? So Mary says, we're trying to keep positive and pass that along to others. We're all in this together. Let me talk about something related to that. So I made a post the other day and it said, basically what I'm talking about now, like, what kind of person do you want to be? And somebody commented and said, I was at the grocery store and I forgot what they said exactly. Something along the lines of like, people are fighting over toilet paper. And the person who was commenting said, what do I do, John? You lead by example. That's what you do. You lead by example, okay? If you become kind and caring and considerate and compassionate through this, there might be 100 people viewing your actions and the way you carry yourself, and only 2 may pay attention. But if you've influenced those 2 people and they can release some of the hate and some of all the other shit that we deal with, and they can become a better person through this, your leading by example has made a difference. Lead by example. Be the person that you want to be. I'm going to say one more thing here, even though it's going to make this shorter. I had somebody on my personal page just a little while ago, a friend of mine, say, we have to, she's not living in fear. And I think that's phenomenal. But I also want to say it's okay to acknowledge our fear. It's okay to acknowledge the fear. Saying that you're not scared, if you are, if it works for you, that's fine. But for a lot of us, acknowledging our fear and then staring it in the face and pushing forward despite it is the most effective way to go. Okay? Ricky says, I love this. I'm doing my best to treat everyone with kindness and show them compassion. Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, Kristen, for watching. So I'm going to be talking a lot more on here. Facebook Lives make me really uncomfortable. But since I started this work, as far as the coaching and the speaking and stuff, I love the grief work and I love all the other things I do. But I've always felt like I have a bigger voice beyond what it is. And if I can even help 2 or 3 people a day on here with some kind of tip or suggestion, and then they take that and tell 2 or 3 people, that's how we help people. That's how we make a difference. All right. Tell Abby I said hello. Ricky's beautiful daughter, Abby. All right. I'm going to go. I will see you guys at some point this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll hop on here and I'm actually going to give you suggestions. We're going to make a list together. Okay? We're going to start working on some things. Take care. Bye.